So here at Ngosi Talk Shows, find your own voice led from within. With me today, Carol Ann Cooper. Carol Ann, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, thank you, Namsa. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is I support women in becoming more productive with their writing by connecting them with their deeper innate ability to write. But more importantly, they experience free flowing writing. They experience an unlocking of the writer within and getting their story written because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. I think
Thank
you're
you so
muted.
much, Carol Ann. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. So today we just thought about doing things differently, and I know the Queen died yesterday, and we just decided uh, just to instead of focusing on us, just because there are so many people around the world who are heartbroken. There's so many people have mixed emotions, but we're just gonna talk about the positive ones because the queen, we're not talking about the queen because she was the queen. We're talking about her because she was a human being like everybody else, and she served this country, and she served another countries as well. So that's what we're gonna focus, and also and praying for royal family. Even though she was 96, that the queen and her husband dying last year, uh, they both must have left that big hole in the family that cannot be filled. And so I wonder what her family might be going through right now. And I know there's some people who went to Buckingham Palace and who were gathering. I was watching the news yesterday. I don't watch the news. I was watching the news, and I could see people started. They were filling in very, very quickly, very fast. Even the children, I could see people carrying their children. But I think if you were close to someone, there are some families that were very close to royal family, and there are some people that, like myself, I liked her character, although there are some negative people that are saying negative things. But for me, I like her character, what she represented as a woman. So I'm just going to talk about the positive that I know. And so, what about you, Carol? And I know you're very, very disappointed, and you have these mixed feelings that you want to hear that she's alive, but she's gone.
Oh gosh.
How do you feel?
Phew. Deep sadness
I know you. I
because
know you
it's
grew up to
someone
be.
that I've known all my life.
Yeah.
And for me, I grew up with the Queen as someone who was very special, to this country. And I've always admired, I guess, the work that they do um, and how much they represent this country. And that's how it is, how I see it. And I've experienced it. And I know there's many that don't see it that way. And that's their opinion and that's their viewpoint. But for me, I grew up uh, very much with the Queen, the royal family, and it's something I love. That tradition is part of, I think, our heritage. Yes, we have quite a peppered history in relation to do with the royal family. Over the years, when you look back of the history of the royal family and what sort of history that the Queen has actually got in her past, and to bring it through into this century and allow change to happen, I think has been remarkable. Because she actually at one point realized it was getting a bit staid and a bit old fashioned, and maybe there wasn't that um, positiveness towards the royal family that they used to be. But they then looked at that, and she looked at that and worked on actually creating a more positive viewpoint and a more positive way of being for the, what am I saying? She looked to turn things around, and that's what I liked. She saw what wasn't working and has worked to turn things around. And for me, I feel that has happened. But I just feel very, very sad. There's a deep, deep sadness here that, yeah, when I think about it, it's a lot of grief. And someone that reminded me yesterday, I was talking to, and she remembered when we were children, because the TV used to shut off. It closed. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and it was always the national anthem, and we would sing the national anthem. We would be with the national anthem, sing it, and then go to bed. So it's a real strong part of how I grew up. So for me, I think it is like in any family, there's a hole when there's someone goes. But in terms of the Queen, I think there's a huge hole, not just in their royal family and in this country, but I think around the world, because she wasn't just Queen of this country, she was head of state of many other countries as well. So, and I think a lot of people, when you say the Queen, you think of our Queen. I think around the world people talk about the Queen, and it was Queen Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth II. And that, even though there are the royal families around, our Queen was the Queen. And she really demonstrated how to be regal, and certainly was very positive. That was something that someone else has picked up on, is her restraint. And actually her mantra was always, never explain, never complain. And I think that's a great mantra to live by. So what's your take and what's your thoughts, Nonsa?
My thoughts are, I don't know what the royal family are going through, but my thoughts are with them in prayers. And there's a lot of change that is happening right now in their lives, because they don't have time to breathe. Like, her death was announced, and Prince Charles was announced as the king. And for me, there's people, of course, they are royal family, but they're still normal people. They still feel the pain, the same pain that we go through. And the difference between them, us, we have privacy. We can grieve private, but they don't. That is the difference, that they don't have to grieve private. Everything is transparent and is public. And that is the saddest thing. Anyone will have to go through that. They have to mourn her death. It doesn't matter how old someone is, but you still have to mourn that death. And at the end of the day, is this is the woman that she was 21 when she was crowned the queen. That is a long time. And now the changes are being put in front of them. So now the question of the family is, how do they move forward from there? It will be, and the public have opinions as well. So for me, my opinions are, if they have a choice to grieve private, they could do it, grieve privately. And maybe people, because people have lots of things to say. I've realized that people have so many things to say about it, about her death, about her life. And for me, the only thing that I have is may her soul rest in peace, and may her family uh, uh, go whatever they are going through right now. May her family find peace and strength, because they will need that. Even though she was 96, my great grandmother died. She was 109. There was there was something when she left in the home. There was a silence, even though my grandmother was still alive and my dad was there, the whole family were there, but there was something that we felt that no one can feel that place. And I feel that I think the royal family are going through the same. That this is the woman that has carried the family, and this is the woman that when families are falling apart, she put them together, private, trying to contain them. But now is left with Charles and Camilla and William and his wife to do that. But when you listen to William yesterday, you could see that they still, she played a very, very important part in their lives. And I hope they find strength to go on. I know everyone has opinion. For me, I would just say, if you have opinion, negative opinion, just put it on the side. Let the family grieve. They're human beings. Although we just have to take out the royal family, that we know that there is king and there is queen, and just look at them as normal people who are going through challenges right now, and just let them grieve. And that's what I just see the way it is. And I just felt this sadness within me when somebody said to me, "Oh, are you watching the news?" I was like, "No, I'm playing with my phone." And she was like, "Oh, the queen has died." And I was like, "Oh, it's a lie. She's alive." And yeah, I was like, it's a lie. And then I saw the prime minister actually announcing it. That then I realized actually she's gone. But I'm surprised she stayed this long, because when her husband was on the funeral of her husband, you could see when she was standing by herself that she was like realizing that my friend is gone. I'm on my own. Although I have family, my friend is gone. Because they've been married for a long time. And when you've been married for a very long time with someone and you travel around the world with them, you are in public, and public, they write news about you and that person, they become the person that you trust. They become your best friend that when you're crying, you are like, you want their comfort. And then now Philip is gone. So I'm surprised that she lasted this long after her best friend and her husband is gone.
I think that's tantamount to her strength
Yeah,
and her what she was about, which is about serving the people in the country, and that was for her first and foremost. And so I think that really shows her strength and courage to, follow through with her duty and what she pledged to do from a very young age. You know, when you think at the age when she said that, it was a very young age, and even before she took over, because I mean, when she was a young child, she was only what, third, I think, in line. So it wasn't as even if it was felt or she thought she was going to be queen. It was just circumstances that happened with her uncle abdicating after being on the throne for, it was about a year. All of a sudden, her own father being king, and then she's suddenly in line. So you just, again, it brings home everything that we've been experiencing the last few years that's been really heightened. You never know what's going to happen and how your life can just suddenly change just like that. Your your way of life changes. Your whole thrust of and purpose has changed. Because all of a sudden she's in line, and then when her father dies, all of a sudden she's queen, just like that. You know, because it seemed strange to me last night. All of a sudden, being King Charles III. You know, the Queen's dead, and all of a sudden he's now king. And it's just wow. So to be thrust into that role, just out of circumstance and the way things go, is amazing how she just carried on. But something I read that Winston Churchill said about her, even as a 2-year-old. He said she has an air of authority and reflectiveness astonishing in an infant. So I get a sense that there was already something. It was like the universe was going, no, this is the lady that's going to be queen. You know, this soul is the soul that's going to take the monarchy through this period of time for almost a century. You know, so 70 years as queen, but yes, to have seen it through what we've been through, and to be part of that. That even as a 17-year-old, to be speaking to the nation's children during the war. You know, she was then broadcasting. Even then, that's when she started her broadcasts, which I find, you know, again, it's a remarkable way of being. There is that compassion, there is that want to serve, to reassure. It was that wanting to reassure the people, everything's going to be fine, we'll find a way through. And it was always that we'll find a way through, we'll work things out, you know. And also, when I read that at the end of the war, on VE Day, she and her sister Margaret, wasn't it? They crept out. They went out incognito into the streets of London, just to mill along amongst everybody, to get that, you know, feel that celebration of the war is over. I mean, how exciting to feel that she wanted to do that, to be in that celebration, to be amongst the people, you know. And that, I think, says it all, because that's what she was about. She was about the people. What is it they're experiencing? And I think maybe there are things that people say, well, she ought to have done this more for the people, or, you know, there's things that she hasn't done, and that's what they'll condemn her for. But who knows how her hands may have been tied? I don't know. You don't know what conversations went on behind closed doors in terms of what she wanted to do to support people and different causes, you know. We only can see from the outside. We can only see from what is going on that maybe doesn't seem to be being addressed. And it's all very well to point a finger and say, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Well, how about, have you heard that, pointing a finger forward, there's 3 pointing back? So how about looking to yourself, you know? What can you do? What can you do to step up and do something to make a difference? Because she certainly made a difference in the world, a huge, huge difference. And yes, there's going to be a huge hole. And I think we have to not think it in terms of no one can fill her shoes, or no one can fill that space. I think it's more a case of that was the space that she filled. Now let's someone else step in and fill it in their own way, with their own way of being, and allow Charles to be a king in his way. She was a queen and knew how to be a queen in a feminine way, a very dutiful way, being of duty, being of service, and had that presence. Will Charles have the same presence that she had? Who knows? Who knows now he's actually in that role, how he may suddenly flourish and shine. And I think we need to allow him to do that and to take the monarchy on and be able to change in this new world. You know, because I've loved how he and his sister, you know, Anne, have actually been, there's a togetherness. And I've read somewhere that they've got a very close bond. So I think that's going to shine even more. I think that's where things might come out and shine even more. And the rest of the royal family and William and Kate, you know, the work that they do. And I think, who knows how quickly William might end up having to step up, because, you know, how old is, what's Charles, 72, 73? You don't know how many years he's got. So again, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the next corner. So it's being in the moment, something that we're always talking about. Being in the moment and living life now with gratitude. Because what you do today actually creates tomorrow. So the world that you want to see being there, then what can you do today to actually create that world, you know, for tomorrow? So certainly, and I love what you said, there's a silence. There's a silence, and there will be a silence. And I think I've only just, this last year or so, especially since the Jubilee, when I actually watched a couple of movies that they released, which showed footage of the Queen growing up that had never been seen before, I suddenly saw her in a different light. I saw the child, the little girl, you know, and saw that the side to her, and really got a deeper respect for her. And then started to realise, when I realised that she started her broadcasting age 17 and then continued, I'd never really listened to the Queen's speech at Christmas, and I don't think I really ever appreciated what it was, and now I do. Do you know what I mean? I've seen it differently, and isn't it amazing in retrospect how you can see things differently? And there's going to be a silence, because her voice is not going to be there anymore. It will be a different voice. And whether he'll continue that, who knows? Whether it will be the King's speech, I don't know. It depends how he's going to move forward with it. And I think that's going to be interesting. And I think we need, as you say, it's so easy to condemn and be negative. At this time, where they've got huge grief, it is about allowing them to grieve, and about looking at the positive and being grateful for what she brought to this country and around the world. So, what else is there for you, Namsa, there? What else would
I
you
like
to
it.
share?
I like it, Carol Ann, when you say it's very easy to condemn. It is actually easy when you condemn somebody, but if you put your shoes in that person, you realize we are all the same. We are all human beings. And when somebody dies, I always listen to the pastor, one of the pastors, Nigerian pastors, Dr. Olukoya. He always says, if you don't have evidence about whatever you're talking about somebody behind their back, never make a comment or say, I know it all and I know this person is this. He always say, never ever speak about somebody unless you have evidence about them, that about all those things. And I know that there will be some people that will be wanting to condemn the Queen. Everyone has their own opinion, which is they are allowed to say their opinion, but you have to look at it as if it was you grieving a member of your family. There will be silence. You want peace. You wouldn't want people bringing their own opinion about what they think about that person. So I know the Queen is the Queen, and someone might be watching the talk show and say, "Why are they talking about the Queen?" We just she's a public woman, so uh, we are just it's sad that her voice is never gonna, like right now is near Christmas, you know, like sometimes when you hear her voice and you're like, you just ignore it, like, oh, she's alive, she's happy, I'm happy, it's fine. But when that voice is silenced, you are like, oh, not Queen this year. Now it's gonna be Charles. It's gonna take time for people to connect with Charles. It's gonna take time for people to get used to, because people have to grieve as well. It's not just the Royal Mail. She's got her own fans that uh, I was watching them yesterday. People were really, really sad about her dad. So they're gonna have to go through that process of not seeing her anymore. And Christmas time is gonna be another reminder of actually she's not here anymore. Even no matter how good somebody is, you can't replace a human being, but you can get used to that person and connect with them. For me, that's how I see life. And hey, 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 Saba, how you doing? You can join into our conversation. We'd love to have you. If you have something to say, feel free to say it. Yeah, so you spoke about you will never know the changes that happened yesterday very, very quickly. That life changes in 1 second, in 1 minute. Things can just change like that. And for me, it made me realize that yes, things can change. And I was getting used to the grieving Carol Ann at the Queen's death, and then I'm moving away, and then I'm hearing Queen Charles is the king now, and I'm like, that's too much to take. Can they wait? Maybe give the woman one day.
No, no, I said literally, boom, it
Boom.
happens just like that. Yep.
Honestly, sometimes you want to grieve, and I was like, okay, she's the queen, she's dead. They're announcing her death. Now they're announcing the king. And I was at my daughter's dance, and she was communicating with the woman that one of the women that works in the security department, and she was like, because everyone was saying she's dead, and this woman, she was telling her that, oh no, she's alive, but I have to go now, and saying we have to prepare for the security. If anything happens, we don't know how the public are going to react, so we have to be ready and prepare the security and everything. Uh, some people might take it the wrong way, Charles becoming the king if anything happens. But for me, the way she was talking, I was like, something is creepy. She must be dead or something. And they don't want to announce it, as they don't want people to know. I used to work in this hospital in South Africa. That was my first job, actually. And when Mandela was in the hospital where I worked, they will announce it that he's in another hospital just for security, to make sure that if he get rushed to the hospital, so they will announce it that he's in a different hospital until he's settled. The security is all uh, sorted out, and then they'll tell people where he is and stuff. So it nearly, that job it nearly changed my destiny as well. So I'm glad that it didn't change my destiny. Um, I came to the UK instead. Yeah, yeah. So I used to work there when his room where he used to go, they will lock it up when he's not there. And then the floor, everything will be guarded, and they'll announce that is a garden city while it's at Parkland Hospital, and set everything up. And then once they set everything up, the security sorted, and then they'll announce that, oh, he's at he's been rushed to Parkland Hospital, just to confuse people and stuff. So I know how they work. So when everyone was saying she's been there, the family are going, I was like, it's something creepy. I think she must be she's going.
Mm.
So I knew, but then when the prime minister announced that she's gone, and then I'm just getting the news, going through, and then and then I'm hearing Charles is the king, and I was like, that's too much to take. And even for him, Charles, to be honest with you, is his mom. He would have wanted
Mm.
to leave for his mom, but he doesn't have a choice. He would have, as a human being, because we have to look at these people as normal people, not like the throne. So we have to take the throne on the side, and just when you imagine they are normal. And I'm
Mm.
sure even him, he would have wanted to grieve for his mother first, but there was no breathing, no grieving. Basically, you are the king, and that's it, boom.
Mm.
And I'm sure he was prepared for it as well. So how do you feel about that? I know you
Can you
are.
ever be really prepared for anything? It's like you can prepare, but when it actually it's time to step
Happy.
up, it's like, as you say, we're human beings. We
Yeah,
have emotions, and grief is one that hits you in many different ways. You just don't know how it's going to hit you. So the fact that it hasn't got time to breathe, as you put it, it's like immediately
yeah,
he's now king, and he has all the duties. He's got to fly. He's flying back to London today, I think. So all of a sudden, everything is then in his wheels set in motion for this, and so I like to think that maybe after the funeral they'll be given some privacy and time
I
to
hope
breathe,
so.
so that yes, all of this, um, what's the word, um, tradition that happens, and what they need to go through for her funeral, and the time that it takes, that and everything else, all the steps, the legalities and things that he needs to do. Once that's over,
Yeah,
give them some time together, some space to just to breathe, to grieve, to go, okay, how are we going to move forward? Because as I said, you can be as prepared as you like, but when it actually happens, you don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know how it's going to hit you, because it's not just you, it's people around you and how they suddenly react. That can unsettle you, that can hit you as well, because it is an unpredictable thing. So yeah, we just have to see, but just keep sending them love, as you would anybody that's lost a member of their family, and especially a mother figure, someone who's a mother and a really staunch matriarch in that way. But I loved when Queen Elizabeth's dad died. She wasn't even in the country. She was out in South Africa. I think it's South Africa, and she heard, and then obviously came back. So immediately she's queen. So what I loved, what I heard was she didn't have any black clothing. They had to get some to her on the plane, so she could then step off the plane in black. So she then made it a rule that the royal family were not allowed to go anywhere without a set of black clothing. Because of that, I thought, wow, when I read that, I was like, gosh, didn't think about that. Must have, really impacted her, because she couldn't step off that plane in any other colour. she had to come off it in black. So yeah, they had to suddenly get it on the plane so she could get dressed and then step off. You don't think about things like that because all you did was see her stepping off the plane in black.
Yeah.
You don't think about the fact, well, would she have taken that outfit with her to South Africa? Do you know what I mean? Or
No,
would she
it's
have
not something you think about. Yeah.
No. So yeah, and I loved it that she made it a rule that everyone had to take black with them, at least a black outfit, just in case, because you never knew. And I think that hit home because she wasn't expecting her dad to die like that. So yeah, and we are all humans, and so I like what some of the things that she did was always, she was acknowledging. A lot of her role was acknowledging people's success, presenting awards, shaking hands, congratulating people. So it was always very positive. And so there was a lot of acknowledging going on. And so I think it's taking that forward. It is that positiveness, that celebration of success. And how else can we celebrate success? What other successes are there? And it was recognizing people's success. And I think that allowed people to recognize success for themselves and accept it, which we don't do enough of. We're so busy not, going, oh, well, I've failed at this, I haven't managed to do that. And yet we don't turn around and go, well, actually, I have succeeded at this. I've managed to do this. We forget the little steps that we've succeeded. Yep. And I'm guilty of that. And I have to remind myself, and I have others remind me, well, look, this is what you have done. I'm going, oh gosh, yes. And then we'll have a celebration of it and a congratulations, and then just pat, on the back and move forward and think, okay, yeah, I can keep going. Because we're always looking for where we failed. We always seem to be thinking about, well, I haven't achieved this and I haven't achieved that. And why hasn't this worked? And this isn't good enough. We're always criticizing. And I can't help wondering if that didn't stem from our education, or it's something that seems to be inbuilt in there somehow. Because I actually found an old school report of mine when I was doing a clear out of the storage unit that I've got. I might have a couple of months ago now. I managed to downsize it and clear out a whole lot of stuff, and still got some stuff in a smaller unit, but at least I've downsized. But I found a school report from the junior school, and all it spoke about was my position in the test and that I could have done better. And it spoke about my position in the class wasn't as good as it had been. So it was always this, what could do better, rather than praise for what I had done well. So I do wonder whether there's something instilled in us to constantly criticize, rather than seeing it as maybe weaving it in with, well, what you have done, and celebrating that, and going back, well, how can we now improve? Where is there room for improvement? And then again, celebration. So you sort of sandwich it. But yes, you do need to look at, well, where can you improve? And that is, because you need to have that growth mindset. How can I grow? And the only way you can grow is look at where you can improve. But it's not about looking at where thinking, oh, I failed. I haven't done this and I haven't done that. It's about, how can I improve? How can I grow? So again, it's in language, it's in the way you word it, and how in your mindset. But certainly bringing acknowledgement and celebration. And that was what she was very, very good at. And so I hope that will continue. That's something that King Charles will continue with. Something I loved was that during the war, when the war was on, and they were told I think
Hold on,
they wanted to. Sorry, you're going. Okay, let me just carry on. They wanted to evacuate the children, and the Queen Mother said no, because she said, the children won't go without me. I won't leave the king, and the king will never leave. So they stayed, and I thought that was amazing. You know, that there was that responsibility to the country, to being here supporting the people. And it was actually there, was at 14 years old, that Queen Elizabeth made her first broadcast to support children that had been evacuated. So imagine 14 years old, and she's talking to the nation then. You know, that's where I'm going, wow. Sorry. There's a frog in my throat, and there's a frog, something wants to be expressed.
Need water.
I need water, but there's something that wants to be expressed. What is there? What is this?
You have to let it out.
That wants to be
Let
expressed. The grief, the love, and not be afraid to say, this woman I respected. This woman I thought a lot of, and I will miss. It's not somebody I think I saw her. I've seen her a couple of times in real life in a few events, but it's not like she was my best friend or anything like that. But it's something. There's something there. She's touched my life in a huge way, and I think that's what it is. She touches people's lives, and when someone touches your life in that way, it means something to you. And this is where when I'm working with people with actually writing their story, this is important, to get your story out there, because you don't know whose life you might touch. And if your story is meant to be out there and touch someone's life, you make a difference. And if that's what you want to do, then get your story written, because you just never know when that moment may come when it's too late. And how would you feel? You know, how do you feel? Because I mean, you're not going to know when you're actually dead. But how do you feel when you think about that? The fact that it's too late for your story to make a difference because you haven't written it. So when would be a good time to start writing it? You know, yesterday would have been a great time. Last year would have been a great time. The next best time is actually now. So think about that. You know, if you have a story, which everybody does, everybody's got a story to share and to tell that would touch someone else's life and make a difference in their life. So get and start writing it. And so just think about that. Think about it. And what could you be writing? Where could you be writing it? How could you be writing it? And just remember that actually writing your story is a healing process. So it helps you to heal anything that's you've been through as well in that writing. So just a food for thought there. If someone's touched your life through actions they've taken, through words that they've shared, through their life story, then maybe think you have a duty to share something that would touch someone else's life and make a difference for them. So yeah, that's something that I think is really key for me right now, and has hit home. Yeah, get my story written. Get up and keep going, and because at times it is difficult to keep going. You think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And you don't know how much Queen Elizabeth might have felt that at times in the privacy of her own home, that she never showed that. She was always out doing her duty, serving the people. right up to the very end. And that's what I think, is admirable. Absolutely admirable. Oh, yeah. And the other thing that's interesting, I found that they were actually, her and her sister were home educated. So they didn't actually go to school, they were home educated. And the main subjects, I think, it was concentrated on history, language, literature, and music. It's an interesting combination. But I know she was very well read. And what they say was she always knew, she always read up about people she was visiting or meeting, and always knew what there was to know about them, even right up to the end. And that's incredible. That is absolutely amazing. There is something to aspire to, that ability to know people, to know how to be with them. Because you think about the number of different cultures that she met and was able to be with that culture and respect their culture and create peace and have peace and harmony and conversation. That's a gift, and it's something worth nurturing and recognizing and acknowledging.
Yeah,
So so
yeah,
on.
I think if she was home educated, as the queen, you expect her to go to a private school or boarding school, but her family showed that it's normal to educate your child at home. It's normal. It's normal to do this. Those are the things that people needs to look up to. You need to look at it. The things that really make sense when it comes to life. How she saved and how she began her life, and those who believe that they cannot be something and just take on that. If my daughter, she struggled, my youngest daughter, she struggled at school during lockdown, and the teachers kept saying the same thing, so I got fed up, so I found a tutor. So when I found a tutor, she came and assessed to her. She said she's fine with everything. It's just the confidence. And so during half term, we've been working on that. And now you're telling the story about the queen. That is going to bring more fire to me to wanting to help my daughter. And I was like, okay, we set up goals with my daughter. She's 7 years old. So she said she wanted to improve her maths and literature. And we been working on that, and so we decided that the questions that she normally takes like half an hour, the maths, she's gonna take 10 minutes. It's gonna take her 10 minutes. So we decided to speed that, make it that speed. So how I decided to do that, and because I know in her heart she needs to believe in herself, so I was like, I'm gonna and when I sit next to you until you finish your homework, and I'll be here, and we're just gonna do a game. We're gonna do it like a game. So we decided to gonna do the game like thank you for honoring her life. That's Adam. You're welcome, Adam. So we changed that the speed, and she managed. Now she answers the questions in 10 minutes. And she went to school yesterday to her tutor after school, and she gave her send a certificate. She was surprised, but it's just now you're telling me the queen was homeschooled, and I can't homeschool my daughter, but I can help her to achieve her goals that she wants to achieve, to get the results that she wants to get. So that is going to motivate me more. If the queen can study at home and achieve the things that she achieved, so that will motivate me more to help my children become something. And you can do that. You can achieve things. We're not just talking about the queen because she was the queen coming from a royal family. We're talking about the things, the life that we can look up to and say, like you were saying, the award, she was presenting the award. And in that way, it helps us to celebrate our small success, small wins, where sometimes people, they achieve something at work, or if you are working for somebody, they'll be called to the office and they're like, oh, thank you very much for all the hard work you've done, or maybe in the sales, or maybe in other areas, and that person will celebrate for a second and they forget about it, and negative stuff's creeping in instead of celebrating what they have achieved and looking forward and embracing the way forward with life. But we don't do that. We celebrate with 1 second and then we forget about it. One more. So that's why I always celebrate in gossip talk shows. I have I linked in gossip talk shows with this website where they help me with the keywords and stuff. So he always send me every month. He always send me the YouTube. Always send me like the how many subscribers and how many views. It deep down in my heart, I know I'm doing the talk show not for views. I'm doing the talk shows not for subscribers. But if I'm being recognized and the other coaches are being recognized, I'm happy to celebrate that. And I'm happy to say thank you. And when you say thank you, and or the universe, whoever you believe in, is able to bring more to your way because you are able to recognize your success. To some people, they might look at it and say, the views, the subscriber, but to me, is I know how hard people work and how hard. I had a meeting with the YouTube thing a few weeks ago, and just listening to the challenges that people have to go through. So when you talk about the awards, I'm just saying this, that people, when you talk about Queen, she's for presenting the awards, she's known for getting on stage and speaking, representing the country. We could do that as well, represent our community and be the voice of our community, be the voice of our country. If there is something, the prime minister, we don't like the prime minister, educate yourself. Be one of the women to take the job, educate the kids to be the prime minister. When I vote in this house, we go voting the council. They know when we move a house, they know that we always ring to change the address. When I go voting, I always take my children and they help me to pick who we are voting for and why we are voting for that person. We get to discuss, me and the kids. It's our tradition. In that way, when they are older, I'm teaching them that if you are not happy with something, go select the person that you want to select. Or if you are not happy, why not go for it? Why not go and campaign? So with the Queen, it shows that she's representing women out there, that you can be who you want to be. And also her character as well, that she was not the woman that was involved in all these different things. I like her character as a woman. She was somebody who was, even when her husband died, she was still, and there was raising concern about her health, she would still go and appear wherever she was needed. She would still go for it. And for me, that is strength. That is a woman with strength. That is a woman with courage. That is a woman who knows what it means to represent your country, to represent your community. And if there are women who are watching, who are making excuses, saying, I cannot be this, I cannot be this. Life can change within a second. Just go and read her story, that she became the queen unexpectedly. and Charles became the king unexpectedly. So that means anything can happen with life. You might, if you are, let's say you have a job, like you're working and you work hard, the manager might recognize you and say, actually, I want to promote you. When I give you this position, so you have to be the person that is always working hard, to be the one who comes to work early, leaves work, be the last to leave. For me, I love people. I recognize people who work hard. Even at Ngosi talk shows, you guys know I always raise my voice. Whoever works hard, I always make sure that they know about it, because you have to recognize people that put on their sweat and their blood sweat, and you have to recognize them. And I think that's what the Queen represents. And if anyone will be like, why are they talking about the Queen? She's just like us human being. She's a mother to somebody else. She is a wife to somebody else. Like my mother. My mother, she's a wife to somebody else. So it's just the same. She's normal. We have to take the throne on the side and just put her. If we believe in God, she believed in God as well. So it shows that she's human. I always say when I read a comment for celebrities, I'm like, do these people really know that these celebrities are real people? They go to the toilet, they do the things that we do. Why do we mourn about them? We want them to be perfect, and they will never be perfect. So for me, I understand that the Queen will never be perfect, but she lived her life. She had the courage to actually take the throne. But do you, anyone who is watching, if your company could represent you with a big throne right now, would you have that courage to take it? Would
Good
you have it?
question.
If a man was to get down on their knees right now, or a woman get down on their knees and say, will you marry me? Will you take it? Would you say yes or fear?
Some great
Anyone who
questions.
thinks
There's some great courage.
or do you want?
Like we were saying about she's wasn't perfect. We're human. What is perfect?
Yeah,
But the thing was, she had some very great and special qualities,
yeah,
and I think that's what needs to be looked at. And it's who you're being. It's what are the qualities you are exuding or being. So it is her qualities, very special qualities that she had. And what you were saying about, yeah, if you don't like something, or you don't like the prime minister, or you don't like someone in the job that they're in, then educate yourself,
yeah,
speak out, do
yeah.
something about it, step up and get into that role yourself, because the only way you can change it is by being in that role. And that was
Oh, yeah.
something that I used to say to my ex-husband when he used to complain about the inspectors, or what the hierarchy was saying. I said, well, while you're just a police officer, you're not going to be able to change anything. You need to be up there in those ranks to be able to speak out and say something and make a change. So get and do your exams, pass your exams, and get promoted. So I
Yeah.
used to say to him, because you've got to be up there and in that conversation to be able to make the changes. So certainly, what you were saying there. So if something, and I loved also that the fact that they had that thought. If there was something that you needed, they went and created it. They wanted a group that Queen Elizabeth could socialise with as a child. And so they created the first Buckinghamshire Palace company, Girl Guides, so that she had a group that she could socialise with of girls her own age. And then she went on to being a sea ranger. So it was something that they could see was wanted. They created the situation so that it could happen. You don't just sit back and go, oh, well, there's nothing here, I can't do anything about it. You make it happen. So there's a quality there that, you know, think on. So I think something I'd like you to leave you with is look at those qualities of the Queen, of Queen Elizabeth. And how can you bring some of those qualities to your life? Do you recognize them? Are you living them? Are you being you? Because I think that was the main thing. She knew her duty. She had her life. She knew what she needed to do. She had a purpose and she lived it. She lived it to the end. So she was being herself. She was being who she was meant to be. Are you being who you're meant to be? Are you being true to what you're here for? What's your purpose? And your why for what you do? So look at that and look at how the Queen lived her life and how she rode through challenges, because there was one year, I think it was 1992, which she called her horrible year, where a whole load of things happened. And least of all, they had the fire in Windsor Castle. Can you imagine your home of that age, have it being destroyed, you know, with the history that's there and all your belongings? And I know many who have perhaps had a fire in their home can actually relate to this. But that year, there was a lot of other things that happened as well. So she called that her horrible year. Did she sink into depression and let that affect her? Or did she find a way to move forward and carry on and get the castle rebuilt, find a way to fund that? You know, it happened. They moved forward. They moved forward. She moved forward. So how can you move forward? So certainly look to the positive side and acknowledge what she has done for this country. And I'd just like to leave a prayer for everybody that's grieving for the Queen, for Queen Elizabeth, for her death, and acknowledgement and praise and joy for her life and what she brought to this country and to the world. And send love and blessings and support to her family, that they may be allowed to grieve and find peace and harmony in their family like they've never felt before, are coming together through this action that's now happened, the Queen dying. I pray that it will bring together what has been split asunder. I pray that it will bring that peace, that harmony, that love that's there, that is there, and let it flourish. And that they can pull together and move together such that this monarchy can go from strength to strength. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Carol Ann. For me, I send a prayer for you as well, because I know you are heartbroken, and just I'm sure she's in a better place. She's gone peacefully. And for me, I'm just gonna live this scripture. My mom, Tamia, loves this scripture, and my mom, she gave it to me, I think 2 weeks ago as well. So I've been reading it. For I know the plans, Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in future. And I know that there are some people that will be watching and say, she's just the Queen, she's just this. Me, I like to look at people for the things that they've done, and I don't listen to the negativity. I listen to whatever is being said, if there is a proof, and also her life story, whatever the bad that she did is between her and God. For me, basically, I know that God had a purpose for her that she didn't know, and I know that there's someone that is watching, and God has the same purpose as he had for her, and she didn't know anything about it. She went to South Africa to visit. She didn't know that when she comes back, she's gonna be having to buy black clothes and be met on the plane to actually wear the black clothes for her father's death and become the queen. And I know that God has plans for other people and they don't know what's behind that veil. So all I'm saying is explore, like it's your favorite
Mm.
word, and that explore your life and what God has in store for you. You might be someone that does not believe in God. For me, I do believe in God, and I do believe that everyone has a purpose on earth, and this woman served her purpose, and she served United Kingdom and served other countries as well. I'm sure there are some other countries where she actually changed those countries. So your purpose, if you know that you have a purpose, don't ask how, just begin that journey, and who knows? Carol Ann said at the beginning,
Mm.
life changes, life can change within a second. So that's what I believe, that life can change. And we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And if you feel that you are sad and you want to talk about the death of the Queen, and you want to find your purpose when it comes to life, get in touch with Carol Ann or get in touch with me, get in touch with Ngozi Talk Shows coaches, and see how we can help you find your own voice and lead from within. That's
Mm.
what life is about. And Ngozi Talk Shows family subscribers, please subscribe to our channel. And God bless. Have a beautiful weekend.